Welcome to the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. In this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are here breaking down the top 10 running backs in the NFL. You guys have liked the list. We give the list, and you can't teach that. Bada boom. Man, the people in the room. G Money Grant Mitchell, how you doing?
I'm struggling, Tanner. I'm struggling. No sports. It's really starting to get to me. I know you don't watch soccer. The Club World Cup is dragging me by, but when that ends in the next couple of weeks, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
What are you talking about? No sports. All right. That's preposterous.
What, game 75 of the baseball season, and there's 100 left until the playoffs?
No, there's less than 100. We're coming actually down to around the 90th game, I think, right now.
Yeah, so there's just another 90. 70 to go.
Right. You know, the Club World Cup, all I know is club sports in high school were for the kids who couldn't play varsity sports. So that's number one. All right.
That's not what this means.
Find a new name for it because that doesn't pique my interest at all. We got UFC. Ilya Taporia.
No, okay. The UFC event was good.
That was 317 was a really good card. 318 is a trash card though. Besides Dustin Poirier calling it a career, but yeah, the rest of that card's not great. But 317 was really good. You had Paddy Pimblett come in the octagon after and try to assert dominance when he hasn't even earned a title shot yet. That's pretty funny. A lot of good stuff there. We got baseball. We got UFC. We got the WNBA. By the way. I don't know if you've seen the news in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark, 9th in player voting. They hate this woman. They hate her. She was first in fan voting, 4th in media voting.
Well, fan voting should be taken with a grain of salt. I think the media voting is the important one there. And 4th is about where I would put her. I wouldn't
put her 9th.
I wouldn't put her 9th. If you told me if fourth was unavailable and you said, are you going higher or lower? I would say higher, not down at 9th.
No, I would put her. She's not the best player in the league. She's not the MVP this year. I mean, she's the most exciting though, and she's also one of the best players in the league. And she's probably the best offensive player in the league. Would you agree with that? Again, I don't really watch WNBA much.
Best and most skilled are kind of two different things. Yeah. I think she is the most skilled. I think she's the most skilled WNBA player ever. Her skills, kind of the way that Steph Curry was so skilled that it allowed a player of his size to completely dominate. And it was something we hadn't quite seen before. That's kind of how I feel about Caitlin Clark. Does that mean she is the best? No, not necessarily. That's why she's not favored to win MVP. But yeah, skill-wise, she's the most developed, I believe. She's
second, though. The UConn, Nafisha Collier is number 1. And then you got her like 3-1 right now. And then everyone else is at least 10-1. So it's a 2-horse race right now. She's probably not going to win it, but still. I said it in a video this morning. I woke up. I got angry. I don't know why. I'm not watching the WNBA tonight, but I got angry about it. I saw Caitlin Clark was first in fan voting, which makes sense. I mean, she is the reason people are watching. She was 4th in media voting, which I guess makes sense. But like 5 off the media is the issue here. And I was like, they were flying Spirit Airlines, truthfully, before Southwest Spirit. Like I was just flew to Tampa. And what's the minor league soccer team? You're the soccer guy.
Minor league soccer, I don't know. That's not my realm.
You know the Hartford Athletic? You ever heard of them?
Yeah.
The Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Okay.
Whatever league they play in, they were flying on like my Southwest flight. And I was like, this was what the WNBA used to be. And the reason they're not is because of Caitlin Clark. It's not Angel Reese.
Yeah, I'm not mad if it was just another young player and they were like, well, they've got to, pay their dues, earn their respect in the league. I get that. And I'm sure some of the players voted out of that mentality, but I think we've also kind of established that some of the WNBA players don't like / are jealous / are insecure because of Caitlin Clark. So we kind of know it plays a role.
Yeah, we do. It plays a role. They all hate her. But anyways, she's the great white hope. She's bringing hope to the WNBA, getting them on chart.
I got to be honest. I feel like we've overused the term great white hope. I feel like there are too many great white hopes.
No, because there's really not. In the scheme of sports, there's not a lot of great white hopes, okay? In the scheme of basketball, there's really not. Like, we just had the first white player drafted in the NBA first overall since 1977. Like, I think great white hope's an impactful term because like you're like, wow, that's the guy. So we think there's more of him, but there's really not when we just got the first white draft pick since 1977.
I mean, that's fair,
First
but
overall.
Luka is also the great white hope. You can't have two great white hopes in the NBA. And we're not even talking about Jokic, who is the best player in the
So
world.
that's the problem too. Those guys aren't American. Like I do
You think European kind of disqualifies it?
well, you see the environments they play in. I mean,
Yeah.
they like the European leagues are insane. So I don't think you look to the Europeans as great white hopes. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong. It's like when Luka is just like lighting it up on offense, obviously not defense, but when he's lighting it up on offense, like I do feel a little like, like that's one of my guys, like, but I don't feel as connected to that as like the white American dude dominating the NBA.
You think Cooper Flag is going to walk in and just be the shit on day one?
I mean,
Or maybe season one.
At some point. What about you?
I think he'll be good. Don't get me wrong, but people who are saying he's like the next, how this whole face of the league conversation is popular because LeBron and Steph and KD are like never retiring, and we keep waiting to find. I don't see him as that guy. I don't know if I'm being a hater, and I have nothing against him. I think he's awesome. I just don't see him being that best player in the world sort of guy one day.
I think he's going to be a very good NBA player. And all signs are showing he's going to be very good. I don't know what that means. Like, obviously, not everyone can be LeBron James. Like, that just does not happen. Steph Curry, like, those are dime and dozens. But I think he's going to be very good. In the Mavericks, like, Nico Harrison's a pretty good GM. If you take out the Luka trade, like, everything he's done has been very good and worked out.
It's crazy. No, because I totally agree. I didn't even really know his name up until the Luka trade when the world kind of learned about him. But in that season before, when the Mavs made it to the finals, and they traded for PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford, they did all this stuff. I was like, this is brilliant business. This front office is super intelligent. And what they've done since the Luka trade has been perfect almost. So he has an incredibly high batting average. He struck out one time, but it was probably the biggest strikeout in the history of professional sports. So yeah. I don't quite know. I don't know how to like evaluate his tenure.
I love it if you can win with doing it. Like if you trade Luka, I like it in the sense of if you can go out and move forward and win because you had a vision, you didn't want to pay the fat dude. Like I respect that. Like if you can go out and make it work after the fact. Same thing with the Red Sox with Rafael Devers. Like if you want to trade him because he's a bad clubhouse guy and he's fat and lazy, like go for it, but it better work out. Like you're putting your peanuts on the line for that one move. And Luka's going to be a great NBA player. We know it. Like he's still going to light the world on fire, be all NBA. But if the Mavericks can move on and win without him, people are going to forget about Luka in Dallas.
I will say Nico, I don't like his personality, and I don't know him personally, but just from what I've seen, that he was given an interview right before, maybe even right after the draft, and they were just asked him a general question about, I don't even know what the question was, but he said that hopefully Mavericks fans are starting to see the vision now that we have Cooper Flag and everything. It's like, dude, you had a 1% chance of getting the first pick in the draft. Cooper Flag was not a part of your vision. And if you didn't get Cooper Flag, we would not be talking about how much we can't wait to see the Mavericks. There would still be Fire Nico chants everywhere. They were still chanting Fire Nico at the NBA draft.
Not anymore, though. That's gone. As long as they can win a few games. You know what's funny? Adam Silver, literally every little ball in that little lottery machine had Dallas Mavericks on it.
So you're buying into the conspiracy?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I had one more thing I was going to say, but I might have forgot it here. Let's see. With the Dallas Mavericks, Luka, Nico. Oh, yes. Here's why Nico Harrison is not a very likable guy. And the same thing with like Craig Breslow with the Boston Red Sox. I bring them both together because they both made big moves trading their star players. Obviously, Luka probably a little bigger, but they're analytics guys. They're driven by what a number tells them and what a computer system tells them. Like the Luka contract, paying him that max extension when he doesn't play any defense, that's a bad contract in the mind of a computer. Same thing with Rafael Devers. Doesn't play defense, just gets paid to hit, and then you factor in him being a bad teammate. Like in the mind of a computer, that's a bad guy. Like you can't separate yourself and be a human being and be like, all right, this guy's still putting up numbers. Like as bad as he's on defense, he's still going to make clutch shots for us or hit home runs. So they're not very personable because they're not humans. They're just computers processing what the numbers are telling them to do. Because you don't trade Luka off vision. You trade it off like the computer's telling me this is a bad contract to give him.
No, that's a good point. And also, because you are a computer, you say things like, we're trying to build a championship contending team. And then a reporter turns around and says, hey, Nico, you were in the championship with Luka. And that's where some of that disconnect comes from.
Yeah. Now I get it. You don't want to pay a dude who likes beer and dessert and doesn't play defense. I get it. But like, you better make it work.
Yeah, better make it work.
This is Ride the Line, the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. We are presented by the World Sports Network, the best sports network, WSN.com. Link down in the description below. We got sports betting promo codes on there, articles, previews. We're already getting ready for NFL. We're talking NFL on the pod today. There's WSN NFL future content out there, so you can get your bets in early. A lot of good stuff on WSN, Grant, right?
Yep, 100%. Myself, Tanner, a team of experts, were breaking down big games, looking at future previews. Like Tanner said, got the promo codes so you can get things like profit boost, bonus bets, all that great stuff. It is available at WSN.com.
The World Sports Network. And also subscribe to Ride the Line, the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. We're going up. We're making moves here, people. Got some big shows lately. Keep subscribing, keep sharing, keep liking, smash the like button. Comment something. I don't care what it is. Just comment something. And
the
then
people like the lists.
The people do like the list. Like the quarterback list, definitely they like that. But again, quarterback's the most important position. They like the receiver list. We'll see what they think about the running back list. I think there's a lot of room for debate in that 5 to 10 range for running backs. So this is going to be fun.
Yeah, and my list is I have a feeling, Tanner and I have not swapped notes. I have a feeling my list is going to be a little controversial, but we'll see.
But honestly, before we get into this list, running backs are only as good as their offensive line. So we need to factor that into the equation here too. That is very important. If you don't have a good offensive line, you can't be a good running back. So I'm sure if we look at guys down the board, like, all right, let's take, for example, who's not in my top 10 list, like even David Montgomery, right? Like I know, he's a good in duo guy, but like he's got a good offensive line, right? If you stuck him with a team that wasn't good, I don't know if his running style would work as well. I don't know, Travis Etienne, right? Like that's a guy who I think if he had a really good offensive line, he could maybe be good, but he's not going to be the top 10 because the offensive line's not there.
Yeah, I mean, David Montgomery, we saw it. We saw it with Chicago. He looked like a talented player, but he never had the big numbers until he got to Detroit.
Yeah, and then now he's just gotten swamped by Jahmyr Gibbs. So there's no doubt listen, he's the touchdown guy when it comes down to it, but Jahmyr Gibbs is the better running back. So I'll little preview. He's in my top 10. Anyways, Grant, should we start?
Yeah, go for it. I think we should just keep starting from number one because I feel like everybody knows who the players near or at the top.
Yeah. Derrick Henry is the best running back in the NFL.
Derrick Henry, also my number one.
Not even close. All those Eagles fans out there that say, ooh, Saquon, he can hurdle backwards and stuff. Show me a guy who's done it consistently over his career like Derrick Henry. Saquon Barkley, don't get me wrong. He had absolutely no help with the Giants organization. There was no passing game to lean into. There's terrible coaches, bad offensive line. So I don't want to take away from what he's been able to do. But the legend of Saquon Barkley didn't become that until he went to the Eagles this season and he became the 2,000-yard rusher. It was not the case when he was with the Giants. And obviously he couldn't get 2,000 yards playing for the New York Giants. But overall, longevity, stats, numbers, physicality. Derrick Henry's still 31. How many running backs play till they're 31 years old and be as dominant as he is? So I will gladly take Derrick Henry. I do think his time in the NFL is going to be coming to an end soon. I think we're going to start seeing a decline at some point. Maybe not this year, maybe the next year. But like 31 is just an insane number to play to put up the numbers he's been able to. So I will gladly take him, number one.
Yeah, Derrick Henry's ability to kind of prolong the fall off has been ridiculous. 6 1,000-yard seasons in the last 1,000-yard seasons in the last 7 seasons. The only time he didn't get that, he only played 8 games, and he was already at 940 yards. Double-digit touchdowns in 7 straight seasons. Saquon had the 2,000 yards last year. Derrick Henry had already done that in his career, and he had 1,900 yards last year, averaging a higher yards per carry than Saquon did. He also had 16 touchdowns. Saquon had 13. I get some of his were kind of vultured by Jalen Hurts, but some of Derrick Henry's were taken away by Lamar as well. So yeah, Derrick Henry, Saquon is phenomenal. If you want to ask who had the best season last year and we forget about everything else in existence, there's still an argument that it was Derrick Henry. Saquon, it could at least be a 50-50, if not ahead. But if we are looking at who's actually better and who's had the better career, it's definitely Derrick Henry.
And I'll say this with Derrick Henry, he's not a super physical runner. Like I think that's prolonged his career. Like once he gets going in space, he becomes more physical, but he gets taken down on the line of scrimmage a lot. Like he's not trying to make something out of nothing. More so when he gets through, it's an interesting style.
His strength is not like Adrian Peterson's strength was manifested in him trucking people. Derrick Henry doesn't truck people. They kind of just like fall off of him because he just keeps going like a locomotive.
Once he hits the hole, like it's very hard to wrap him up and tackle him. But like you don't see Derrick Henry lowering his shoulder on the line of scrimmage to get the yards early on. Like he needs the hole to open up. Once it opens up, he is off to the races and people are just bouncing off him. And he can stiff arm people in space. Like he can get after safeties and corners and he can run over linebackers if you want to, but he can also run away from you too. And I think that style has prolonged his career because he's not dipping his shoulder trying to hurt somebody right on the line of scrimmage.
I wish I could remember who said it. There was some NFL player, defensive player, who said everybody's got Derrick Henry confused. He is not a power runner. He's a track star. And because we've seen him get these breakaway runs. Remember, I think it was the Bills game where he got like that 90-something yard touchdown. And it looks funny because he's 240, 250 pounds and he's so much bigger than everybody, yet he's bursting away through everybody. So that combined with that ability, just his legs are like pistons. Like they just keep going. They don't stop as soon as he starts moving. That's why he's able to do what he does.
Yes. Number 2 is Saquon Barkley. No debate here. Great season.
Number 2, Saquon. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and again, Saquon, if he played his whole career with the Eagles, he would probably have better numbers than Derrick Henry, but he didn't.
I don't know if he would, honestly. Derrick Henry's numbers are insane.
Do you think Saquon's going to have 2,000 yards again this year? Probably not.
No chance. I'll say this. I think Saquon's going to be, he's going to be 29. No, he'll be 29 next year. He'll be 29 if they get back to the Super Bowl. I don't think he's going to be bad, but like, I would see this as a 1,500 yard season, which is still an awesome season. But when you think about how many carries he had last year, also considering the fact that those carries ran through the Super Bowl, it's a lot of wear and tear.
Yeah. And I think the touchdown numbers maybe go up a little bit for him this year. Like if eventually Nick Sirianni is going to be like, I can't put my quarterback in this situation as much as we do. If it's the first quarter, if it's the second quarter and we're on the 1 yard line, maybe we run the ball there. Maybe we don't go tush push. I do think that shift's going to take place, especially like you want Jalen Hurts there for the long haul. How old's Jalen Hurts? 27?
Yeah, he's still very young, but he came into the league being quick. He's 26. He'll be 27 next month. Jalen Hurts came into the league quick, mobile, agile, and now with him, if he's not going in a straight line, he looks like an old man.
He looked a little faster in the playoffs last year, though. He had a little, when they ran QB power, QB trap and stuff, he had a little more get up on his running. When he's the same guy, he hits the hole and goes, he's gone.
He's still got straight line speed, but I do feel like all the hits, and really the hits are just a bunch of dudes jumping on top of him. I do feel like it's lessened his ability. If it's not in a straight line, then he does not look like a very good runner.
He's deceptively quick.
He is, yeah. He's also, we always talk about he squats 600 pounds. So if it's a situation where like he's going through the hole and someone's trying to drag him down, if he gets through there, he'll keep going. He's strong enough to keep running.
Deceptively quick. Jahmyr Gibbs, number 3.
I also have Jahmyr Gibbs, number 3.
Jahmyr Gibbs, if he didn't work in tandem, and I think it's good for prolonging his career, but if he didn't work in tandem with David Montgomery, the numbers would be even better than they already are. And what's crazy about it, he was 3rd in rushing last year, 4th in rushing?
5th, but he had 1,400 yards, 5.6 yards per carry, 20 total touchdowns while splitting carries.
Yes, which is insane. And then receiving 517 yards receiving. Like this is a guy who can do it all. You could put him in the slot. You can have him play running back, run off tackle. You can have him run inside the tackles. I'd rather have him run off tackle, but he can get to the edge. He can run jet motion. Like there's so much that Jahmyr Gibbs can do for you. Dave Montgomery takes away touchdowns from him. That's the biggest thing. He does take away yards from him. But the fact that if you limited David Montgomery's carries a little more here. Like, I know he only played in 14 games last year, but there's a really good chance that Jahmyr Gibbs is doing 200 yards, and they do force it. Like the Lions don't, they're always on the attack. They're always forcing it. They're never taking it easy, which helps boost the stats up. But Jahmyr Gibbs is fantastic.
You know how players like Le'Veon Bell were known for being so patient? Gibbs is the opposite, and I don't mean that he rushes things. I mean, he's just so fast. Everything is so sudden that it looks like all the other players on the field are being patient as he's making the play. You know, his short gain or plays that would normally be 1-2 yard gains, they're 4-yard gains just because he arrives to the hole so quickly that you can't stop his momentum. There's no build-up period. When he takes 2 steps, he's already at full speed and he's getting to wherever he wants to go. That playoff game against the Commanders, even though they lost, he averaged 7.5 yards per carry, 105 yards and only 14 carries, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 6 catches for 70 yards. Like every single time he touched the ball, it was a minimum of 7 or 8 yards, it felt like. And then, of course, you're going to get the big 30, 40-yard plays multiple times per game.
And it's crazy, too, because this wasn't a guy that you talked about coming out of Alabama like he's going to be the next great thing at running back.
Everybody was making fun of the Lions because they took him at 12 and then Jack Campbell at like the teens or 20s, wherever they took him. They said that was a terrible draft.
And they've been right. Even they went early on Laporta too, right?
I think Laporta might have been second round.
But they were the Lions go early on people they like, which I respect, and it's obviously helped them. I remember Jahmyr Gibbs in 24. I think it was, looking at the schedule now, I think it was like week 4, Monday Night Football against the Seattle Seahawks. That was the first time I really watched him in his rookie year, and just how fast he was, like getting to the edge. And I think I took the under on some one total because I was like, I remember this vividly, and my chest was pounding the whole time. But just knowing how fast he was and seeing him get to the edge, I'm just like, this man is unbelievable. He comes off the ball, and it's a sight to see. Like, I get more excited watching him run the football than Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley combined because it's just a cannon.
Yeah, with Saquon and Derrick Henry, there's no way in hell I could do what they do. Don't get what I'm saying wrong. But I could envision myself hitting a hole and running a guy over. It's something that I could see happening. I could never close my eyes and see myself moving the way Jahmyr Gibbs does. That's what makes it so exciting. That's why, as fun as it is to watch Steph when he's making these threes, watching Vince Carter literally jump over a 7-2 player during a game to dunk the ball, that's what separates those things. It's like, I can do one of those, I can't do the other.
Nobody on this list, my top 10 list, plays like Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, nobody is as fun to watch as Jahmyr Gibbs.
I 100% agree. And so going back to what we were talking about with the Lions here, you said you respect them drafting their guys early. They did it again. They did it again this year. 6'4" receiver from Arkansas, Isaac Tesla. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's Teslaa. Maybe it's Tesla. I don't know. But they took him in the 3rd round. He was a projected 5th round receiver or so. So maybe this is a stud, and we all are going to be put on notice soon.
Who'd they go 1 and 2? Did they go defense for a second?
They took Tate Ratledge, the Georgia guard, which might have been in the 2nd round, or they took him in the 2nd, and they took Tyleik Williams, the Ohio State defensive tackle, in the 1st.
We got to play some defense this year, Lions. They got a brutal schedule too. They got to play some defense.
I do not know what their schedule looks like, but they're in the NFC North, so I believe it.
Well, Jordan Love's terrible, so they're good there. Anyways.
Number 4.
You go, Grant. I've taken the first 3.
This is where I think it might get a little controversial, Tanner. You ready for this? Do you have any guesses?
It should be Bijan Robinson, but it probably isn't. Should be.
Ashton Jeanty.
No, you can't. But that's cheating. You can't do that. You
I'm
can't do
doing
that.
it.
This man, Ashton Jeanty, was shut down by James Franklin's
Don't
Penn
do that.
State Nittany
Don't do
Lions.
that.
He was shut down. And the only reason he had 100 yards in that game is because Boise State couldn't throw the ball to save their life. And they just had to continue pounding the rock with him. The Penn State defensive front, it's a little different when you play in the Big Ten versus the Mountain West Conference or whatever the hell they play in. The big, whatever, they're in the Mountain West, right? Yeah,
Mountain
they're
West.
the mid mountain major conference, mid-major conference.
I want you to explain to me, going off of what you just said, how the Boise State Broncos are supposed to block Abdul Carter and the Penn State Nittany Lions.
But here's the thing, Grant, in the NFL, if you do what Boise State tried to do to Penn State, Ashton Jeanty will last about 1.5 seasons. You cannot do that.
Well, we're not ranking 4 years from now. We're ranking this season.
I wouldn't want him right now. I don't know how he's going to be.
Pete Carroll is his head coach. The Raiders have been reworked. They've actually got some talent down there now. The Raiders line might not be incredible, but it's better than Boise State's was. The division, yeah, it's tough. I get it, but I think this kid is ridiculous. And I see him going for 1,400 yards as a rookie.
No, I'm not saying, I'm saying that's very possible, but I don't think you can do it at this point after he got shut down by the Penn State Nittany Lions.
The offensive line got shut down.
I know, but you can't do but the Raiders offensive line is going to get shut down like that too.
It's not going to be close to it. The gap is not going to be even as close to as large as it was.
Well, how many games are the Raiders going to win, Grant?
Well, that doesn't matter. We're talking about offensive line versus defensive line, and the Raiders offensive line against the Broncos defensive line is a much closer battle.
It is.
So that's my point.
It's also the NFL though, Grant. This is not college football.
So what does that matter?
In the NFL, you're not going to see the difference as much. But he's not going to look like, I could watch that game and be like, all right, Ashton Jeanty is showing up, getting dominated by the Penn State defensive front. Like, he couldn't, granted, he didn't have a huge offensive line in that game, but they were getting to him.
He also went for 192 yards, 8 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns against Oregon.
Yeah, but that was a different Oregon team when they played them too.
Oh, of course it was.
No, it was. It was a much different Oregon team. They probably overlooked them. They weren't ready. Grant, the Raiders are projected to finish.
Did not overlook them. Dan Lanning, there is a clip. Dan Lanning said that little running back on the other side of the field is the best player you will see all season.
I think they overlooked them though. If Oregon played Boise State and barely found a way to win the football game, they weren't ready for what they got that night. Because Boise State in no way was good enough to hang in there with Oregon like they did.
It's what happens when you have the 4th best running back in the NFL on your team.
And they weren't ready. Yeah, but Grant, the Raiders are 4th in the AFC West. They're going to finish legitimately 4th in the AFC West. They're going to win maybe 6 games. It's going to be the reason they're going to be in that spot is because they're not good up front and they're going to struggle. I think Ashton Jeanty is going to be a good running back, but I don't think you make the case he's the 4th best in the NFL right now. That's just clickbait right there, Grant. That's all that is, just clickbait.
Like your Lad McConkey over Malik Neighbors, that was clickbait.
Lad McConkey's done something in the NFL though, and if you would have put Lad McConkey in the top 10 before he even stepped foot on the field, that I put Malik higher, didn't I?
You didn't put Neighbors in the top 10.
Well, you know what? I gotta support the white boy.
Like the Great White Hope again.
Great White Hope. I mean, is a Georgia guy.
All right, so you have Bijan number 4.
That's insane. Yeah, you can't do that. That's fake news, guys. Don't listen. Don't listen.
I'm saying you have Bijan number 4, right?
Yeah, because he's actually done something in the NFL. I think Bijan will be much more effective than Ashton Jeanty will.
I've got Bijan number 5.
Okay, so that's fair. Number 5 for me is Josh Jacobs.
Okay, interesting. How old is he now? Is he 30 now?
27, very young.
Oh wow, I feel like he's been around for a while.
Alabama, 2019 first-round pick, really came into his own getting away from the Raiders organization where Ashton Jeanty is going to now.
Pete Carroll, different team.
Doesn't matter. I don't think Pete Carroll is ready for a retirement home, honestly. That's crazy that the Raiders hired Pete Carroll. I'm sorry. I know he's got all this energy in the world. I know he does. I know he's flying around. Don't you want somebody that's going to be there for the long haul? Why don't you want somebody that's going, you could potentially get him for 10 years and he becomes the next Sean McVay, or he becomes, I don't know, even like a Cliff Kingsbury kind of guy. Like, why don't you go for him?
So I was actually having this conversation just the other day, funny enough, and what I said was essentially that I think the Raiders are tired of trying to find that guy. Like, if you look at their recent hires, Jack Del Rio at one point was thought of as a respectable coach, didn't work out. They pay the $100 million for John Gruden, doesn't work out. They replace him with Rich Bisaccia, he doesn't stick around. They go get Josh McDaniels, doesn't work. Antonio Pierce, they try to make their guy, doesn't work. I think they wanted someone who has proven at multiple levels throughout their entire career that the worst case scenario is right about 500. Like, even if Pete Carroll is only there for 3 or 4 years, if he can, in those 3 or 4 years, make them forget about being the worst team in the league, make them believe that they're at least competitive. When he retires, you've changed the culture enough to the point that the players know what hard work is. They have a sense of belief. The organization is headed in the same direction, and maybe Pete Carroll handpicks the guy to replace him.
I think it's a terrible move. I think it's terrible because Pete Carroll, yeah, he might be about 500. Geno Smith is your quarterback. You are not going to win a Super Bowl with Geno Smith. Let me just.
The Raiders aren't trying to win a Super Bowl, though. They're trying to get back to 500.
Can you beat anybody in the AFC West without a quarterback? No.
They could go 2-4 against that division.
They're not good. They're going to finish 4th in that division no matter. As long as Geno Smith is their quarterback, they're not going to be that team, especially with Bo Nix now being in Denver.
Geno's better than Bo Nix.
He won't be. Bo Nix.
Next year, I would still say, for at least next year, I'm still taking Geno.
Bo Nix is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL someday. He's that good.
I'm not there with you.
He's that good. He was that good last year. We know that. He came out of nowhere. Geno Smith, but again, Geno Smith's a journeyman. I'll tell you what, Geno Smith got good at 32, right? 32.
Yeah, they wrote him off. He didn't write back.
Yeah, so he got good at 32. I guarantee Bo Nix will be better than him by 32 years old if he's even playing.
I mean, Bo Nix is already 32, isn't he?
No, Bo Nix. What? Bo Nix, 24, 25.
He was in college till he was 29 years old.
Bo Nix, 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 3,775 yards. He's 25 years old, so he'll be better this year. And the thing with Pete Carroll, it was 7-10, 9-8, 9-8 past 3 seasons. He's got Geno Smith as his quarterback, which I guess will help, obviously, because he's coached him before. Biggest problem here is, Grant, the fact that Pete Carroll also elected to throw the ball on the 1-yard line in the Super Bowl. And he shouldn't have done that.
Hey, by the way, I just remembered Raiders offensive coordinator Chip Kelly, Ashton Jeanty. That helps his case. They are going to run that football.
Has Chip Kelly ever been good in the NFL? Was he good with the Eagles?
For a quick second, and then it kind of went up in flames.
Chip Kelly's not a professional football coach. He's not. He's a college guy. When you think of Chip Kelly, I don't think anything to do with the NFL.
I don't either.
That's a downfall for him.
I believe in redemption, Tanner.
No, but Chip Kelly's a college. There's some guys that can make it in college. There's some guys making the NFL. Chip Kelly, what's the first thing you think of when you hear Chip Kelly? Oregon. First thing.
Oregon.
There you go. So
number 6, I got CMC.
You know what's crazy? I forgot about CMC. Like, he's not even in my top 10 right now.
I can understand why you would forget about him because he's sort of just a question mark.
He probably should have been in my top 10. So I'm going to find a way to correct this and put him in my top 10. But he also, his Achilles may be broken, both of them.
Yeah, with all the calf strains, I saw someone say this, calf strains are now shut down injuries. And I agree with that because they've led to so many Achilles tears. Yeah, I don't know what happened. He had the one amazing season when he got to San Francisco. Although, honestly, his amazing season was basically the season that Bijan had last year. He's going to be 30. He's going to be 30 next week. Both these injuries. By the time, if we fast forward a year from now and we're making this list again, it's possible he's not in the top 10.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I'm going to say that he would probably be towards the end of my top 10 right now. Especially, again, we talked about this, how we're making these rankings, right? Are we trying to make a team right now? Are we trying to make a team for the future? If I'm making a team for the future and just in a guy that I would want on my team right now, it's Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving came out of nowhere. That was probably one of the best picks of the draft last year. Nobody expected Bucky to be what he was. Nobody expected him to overtake Rachaad White, and he did. From a passing standpoint, from a rushing standpoint, really helped Baker in play action. He can catch the ball in the backfield. Bucky Irving's a guy that's a top 10 running back, no doubt. And I think he's as high as, what do I have him at? 1, 2, 3,
6.
5, 6. Yep, 6.
So I had Bucky at 7. I love Bucky. I actually loved the Oregon running back who just got drafted again. I loved Bucky at Oregon, and I loved Jordan James at Oregon. So I'm excited to see if Jordan James will do anything.
Who'd you have?
CMC.
Okay, cool. So we're on 7. So you just gave away 7 with Bucky.
Yeah. Bucky last year, 10th in rushing yards, 1,100 of them, 8 touchdowns, 5.5 yards per carry. He only had 207 carries. Rachaad White had 144. So if I were doing math, that'd probably be like a 60% share. So if he was actually the legit lead back, his numbers could have been a lot better. The biggest thing was just that Bucky kind of consistently made big plays. Third down, big touchdown scoring runs. Felt like every week he had a big play for you. That Tampa Bay offense was explosive. Is it going to be the same without Liam Cohen? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Liam Cohen is just a genius. But yeah, Bucky was really good. He deserves to be in the top 10.
Liam Cohen's a goofball. Like, I think he's a really good OC, but I don't know how he's going to translate to being a head coach.
He gives me those vibes where
Yeah.
he's your friend. And your position coaches, not that coordinators are position coaches, but they're not head coaches. But those guys can be your friends. Are they like the military general to lead the whole team? I don't know.
Like, I look at a guy like Sean McVay, who's definitely gives off more like friendly vibes, like cool dude. But like when it's time to work, like he can get the troops going.
He has the switch that he flips and he turns into a psycho.
Yeah, like even like a Cliff Kingsbury. Like, I do think he should get another shot as head coach. I think he's a really good OC though. But like, Dan Quinn, I look at him as a head coach. I don't look, even though he was a great DC, I look at him as that head coach guy more so. That's just the way it is. Like Todd Bowles, like I know he's a great defensive coordinator, great defensive mind, but I look at him like a head coach, and I do not, whatever the Jaguars paid to get Liam Cohen there, because I know it was a pretty hefty after the Bucks signed him. Like it's just it probably was not worth paying it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if the Jags only win 5 or 6 games this year, but Trevor Lawrence, Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr., Strange, all those guys, if they have amazing numbers, I could see it, and they're just still a terrible football team.
Yeah. Number 7 for me. Did you do number 7 yet?
Yep, I did Bucky.
Jonathan Taylor. We're looking down on this guy. Jonathan Taylor has no support offensively from the Indianapolis Colts, still continues to put up numbers. They do consistently give him the football. 14 games, had 300 carries, where Bijan 17 games, 304 carries. He still had 1,400 yards last season, 11 touchdowns, 11 big carries, 102 yards per game, just a machine. I think his body's going to break down doing this. He's only 26 years old. I don't see it lasting much longer if they continue to run the ball like this, especially with the offensive help they have at quarterback there. But definitely a top 10 running back.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor was the hardest one for me to kind of figure out here, because there's a lot of things at play. So as a rookie, 5 yards a carry. Second year, that is the year, the one he wins Offensive Player of the Year, 1,800 yards, 5.5 yards per carry. Since then, he's never been above 4.7 yards per carry, which was
That's
last
still
year.
ridiculous, though.
It's still good. The volume is crazy. He missed 3 games, and he was still 5th in carries. 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns, great numbers. I feel like when I watch him, I don't see the same burst. He doesn't look elite, yet he puts up these very big numbers. His last 4 games of the season, he was having a solid season. Then his last 4 games, he goes 107 yards, 218 yards, 125 yards, 177 yards, and he scores 6 touchdowns in those 4 games. So that definitely helped out his numbers. He is playing with Anthony Richardson, and I get how damaging that can be. Does also have a great offensive line. But I think the biggest thing for me is kind of what you said. I expect his body to break down because it already is. The last 3 seasons, he's been pretty injury prone. He has missed he's missed 17 games over the last 3 seasons. Colts haven't been in the playoffs. So I'm not wishing this on him, but I do feel like even at 26, his best days are behind him. So yeah, just very, very tough to figure out what's coming for Jonathan Taylor.
I will say he's on the verge of going to the Hall of Fame, though.
It's a
couple more good seasons. I think he's a Hall of Famer.
If he has another 1,800-yard offensive player of the year season, sure. But right now, if he just kind of like stays like this and starts to fizzle out, I would say no way. He's only had 2,000-yard seasons. Or maybe three.
6 to 1,100, 1,800, 1,400. If he does another couple, the touchdowns have been high. I mean, I don't think he's going to win Offensive Player of the Year again. The Colts aren't going to be good, so he's definitely not going to win a ring. But I mean, if he stays on this pace, like even if he can play 13, 14 games a season, put up 1,000-yard seasons, I mean, that Offensive Player of the Year at 18, 11, like Jonathan Taylor was a dude we talked about for a while. Now he's no longer, but we'll see.
So that was your number 7. My number 8 is going to be James Conner. I think James Conner has finally started to get recognition. I don't think people realize he runs so hard. He's a great pass catcher, great pass blocker, and he also just runs very effectively. He just does a solid job. It's just a guy you trust. He's going to hit a single every time he goes to the plate, and you can appreciate some consistency. You know, there are a couple of great running backs, and then it's just like there are a ton of starting level guys, and I view him as one of those guys in like the top 3 to 5 region that I would pick among the starting level guys.
Well, what separates him is the pass catching and the blocking. Like that's the biggest thing. 1,000 yards run the football, almost 1,100, but then 414 catching the ball out of the backfield. Was good with blocking, had 55 targets, long reception of 44 yards. He's just consistent. That I also have him at my number 8 as well.
Okay. So we're in lockstep there. My number 9 is Jonathan Taylor. So no need to spend too much time on that. But Jonathan Taylor is probably been a better player than James Conner. But even though Conner's older and more physical, I've seen Taylor break down more. And Taylor also having the injury issues, having not been available. I have to take that into consideration. If you're great on the field, but you're going to miss a third of the season, then how valuable are you actually?
I agree with that. With that being said, he is still higher than that. So you were wrong there. Okay. So we're rolling here.
You're on number 9.
I like Aaron Jones. 255 attempts last season, 1,100 yards, 4.5 yards per carry. He benefits because of the offense that he is now in. But I think Aaron Jones, off the restart heading to Minnesota, has been very good to his career. So I will take Aaron Jones. I think he works in well, and I think his career is going to be prolonged because of the fact that they can run play action. Teams have to worry about the receiving threats with Minnesota. So that's going to open up the box a little bit more for him. So I do like Aaron Jones at 9.
So I don't have Aaron Jones on my list, and I'll actually go back to something you had earlier, which was Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs also not on my list. Those two guys, kind of the same thing we're talking about with James Conner, honestly, where they're just going to consistently get 3, 4, 5 yards a carry, it feels like. Aaron Jones only had 200-yard rushing games last year. Josh Jacobs only had 3. So were they actually changing games? I didn't feel like they were. I felt like they were very solid and they helped contribute to a system. And I'm not going to lie. Also, Aaron Jones, the age 30 number is staring me at the face. We know that's when running backs start to decline a little bit, if not before that. So I could be wrong. Aaron Jones is a solid player. I'm not saying he's bad, but he's not in my top 10.
Top 10 in carries, top 10 in yards. Grant also caught the ball in the backfield a little bit. What more could you want?
Well, my number 10, and this is probably also going to be controversial, although it is your team, so I'm hoping that you're willing to co-sign this. My number 10 is Travion Henderson.
You can't do that though. Like that's the, you can't do that. You can't do that. Ashton Jeanty was wild. Travion Henderson's even crazier. Who knows if he'll even be the guy, honestly. It could be Ramondre still. Like they might have just got him to light a fire under Ramondre's ass, which I don't know if fires can be lit under a man's ass who can't hold on to the football, but they might have done that.
So Travion, first of all, if they do that, Travion he's a team guy. He's willing to split carries. We saw it with Quinshawn Judkins. I think it was Ryan Kelly. It might have been Ryan Day. Chip Kelly might have done it, but I think Ryan Day called him and said, "Hey, dude, I know you're going to be the number one back, and if you want to be the bell cow, you can do that. However, we have the opportunity to get Quinshawn Judkins in the portal." And Travion said, "Go get him. Let's do it." And he kind of let Quinshawn take on. Most people looked at Quinshawn Judkins as the number one back in Ohio State's system, even though that wasn't really the case. Last year, Travion only had 1,016 yards, but he averaged 7.1 yards per carry. He did have 10 touchdowns. As a freshman at Ohio State, came in 1,250 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6.8 yards per carry. Some people are saying, and this isn't my area of expertise, but scouts are saying this is like the best pass protecting running back in NFL history. He showed his ability to catch the ball. There's that little screen that went for a 70-yard touchdown in the college football playoff against Texas. I think he's just incredibly solid, and I'm hoping he gets the volume because the fact that he didn't at Ohio State kind of diminished his reputation, but I think this dude is a legit superstar.
Yeah, that catch he had in the Texas game ended the game. Like Texas was rolling at that point, just had the touchdown pass down the left sideline, then they take that up the field. That was tough one for the Horns. But yeah, I like it. I mean, we'll see what we don't even know what his volume is going to look like. We don't know what he's going to look like with Ramondre Stevenson. Like, I do think they drafted him to be the guy, obviously, but I think they also drafted him with the hope that it's going to wake Ramondre Stevenson up a little bit. My number 10 is Christian McCaffrey. You know, you changed my mind. I was going to put in Kyron Williams there, but I think Christian McCaffrey has earned that spot until otherwise noted.
Yeah, fair enough. CMC, again, it's just weird. Like, he was great, but he barely plays anymore, and he's also 30, and hopefully he's healthy this season. I guess we'll see. That whole 49ers team, I mean, Ayuk got injured, Debo got injured, Trent Williams got injured, McCaffrey got injured. That team was just a mess.
They should go 15-2.
Yeah, their schedule is the softest schedule in NFL history.
It's insane. Like they should win almost every game if they don't. Like they should be the 1 seed in the NFC with how easy that schedule is.
I remember when odds for the next season first came out and we were looking at them and we were win totals and we got to the Niners and it was like Niners 11.5. We're like, what the hell? Bet the under. And then we actually went and looked at the schedule, and that's when we figured out, like you said, they could go 15-2 and still not be a good team.
Yeah, I mean, they got Seattle at Seattle to open the year, win. New Orleans win. Arizona win. Jacksonville win. LA Rams, you'll split with them. Tampa Bay, gonna be a tougher game. I don't want to say that's a win yet. Falcons, probably a win there. Houston win. Maybe not. That's a loss. So like their potential losses could be Houston, Tampa Bay, the Rams once. And that's about it.
And there are other games, the Giants, Cardinals again, Panthers, Browns, Titans, Colts, Bears. That's crazy soft schedule.
If you split with Seattle, if you split with LA,
yep.
You lose. Say the worst case scenario, you lose to the Bucks, you lose to the Falcons,
you lose to the Texans.
You lose to the Texans. That's 5 losses. You're still 12-5.
Yep.
That's worst case scenario. And that takes more. Are they 12.5 or are they
11.5?
They're 11.5. That's a pretty 11.5 is a pretty good line.
You
gotta stay healthy though.
Let me double check just to make sure that it's not 10.5.
Well, it's 12 it's 10.5 at -115. That's a good line.
Over 10.5 at -105 is crazy.
That's a good line.
Yeah, so you can throw in another loss there. So like maybe you lose both to the Rams. Maybe you lose to the Bears. I don't know.
That's a good line right there. That's a juicy win total.
And you can probably find more about that on WSN.com, Tanner.
Yes, you can. Check out WSN.com, guys. Subscribe to the podcast.
That's going to do it for this episode of Ride the Line. As has been the case with all of the lists, go to the comment section. Let us know what your thoughts are. Who had the better list between myself and Tanner? What did we get right? What did we get wrong? What does your list look like? We will be responding to every comment, and we will catch you all in the next episode of Ride the Line.